These aren't perfect games. They don't have the flash or budgets of AAA titles, but they bring creativity and heart that's worth discovering. In this video, we take a closer look at 10 best AA games you never played. Developed by Spiders and released in 2019, GreedFall set out to capture the spirit of BioWare-style storytelling, blending colonial-era fantasy with diplomatic intrigue, exploration, and choice-driven gameplay. While some have compared it to Mass Effect or Dragon Age, such comparisons don't fully encapsulate what makes GreedFall distinct. The game incorporates familiar RPG elements but carves out its own identity, offering a rich world with layered decision-making. Choice remains one of GreedFall's strongest features, directly impacting faction alliances, companion relationships, and the overall fate of Tier 4D. The multiple endings reflect how players shape their journey. At launch, GreedFall maintained a relatively stable state, but wasn't without technical hiccups. Frame rate drops in large cities and visually demanding scenes occasionally disrupted immersion. While none of these issues were game-breaking, they contributed to an overall sense of roughness, reinforcing its mid-budget nature. Despite these imperfections, GreedFall stands out as a deeply engaging RPG, proving that ambition and strong narrative design can leave a lasting impact. When I first encountered GreedFall, it didn't immediately grab my attention. The mixed reviews made me hesitant to dive in. Eventually, I decided to set aside concerns about technical issues and negative feedback, giving the game a fair chance, and that choice proved to be well worth it. Within the first hour, GreedFall had completely won me over. You are Vulcan, a mercenary imbued with a demon's fire, navigating a brutal fantasy war where every decision feels like a gamble with your soul. Bound by Flame launched in 2014 during a shifting era in RPG design, where the divide between indie ambition and AAA spectacle grew sharper. Developed by Spiders, the same French studio behind GreedFall, the game sought to carve out its place by delivering a dark fantasy tale filled with player choice, fast-paced combat, and a strong emphasis on personal sacrifice. It had the makings of a hidden gem, demon possession, branching morality, and handcrafted lore, but struggled to fully realize its ambitious vision. What was meant to be a fiery, character-driven RPG ultimately dimmed in the shadows of its rough execution. Performance issues were noticeable, particularly on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, where frame rate drops and long load times disrupted immersion. PC players also reported occasional crashes, contributing to the sense of unpolished design. Regardless of its shortcomings, Bound by Flame presented compelling ideas, especially its portrayal of power corrupting the protagonist, influencing appearance, dialogue, and alignment. In certain moments, the brilliance of its concept managed to shine through the technical flaws. Beneath the surface, there existed the framework of a much stronger RPG, one brimming with potential, vision, and a world that begged for deeper development. Released in 2018, Ashen is an action RPG that embraces the Souls-like formula while introducing a distinctive identity of its own. Developed by A44, the game wears its inspirations proudly, but tempers them with a minimalist aesthetic and an unusual sense of quietude. It offers a familiar framework, yet establishes its own unique atmosphere, a world where light holds immense value, companionship is fleeting, and survival hinges on quiet perseverance. Originally launching as a timed exclusive for the Epic Games Store and Xbox One, Ashen later expanded to PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Steam, and GOG in 2019. It incorporates core Souls-like elements, stamina-based combat, methodical exploration, and subtle storytelling that unfolds through atmosphere rather than exposition. However, one of its defining features is the constant presence of a companion, either AI or player-controlled, introducing a slight shift from the genre's traditional solitude. These allies add an extra layer of tactical flexibility and safety, particularly against formidable enemies or mini-bosses. Beyond combat, Ashen integrates base-building mechanics, where aiding NPCs leads to the expansion of a settlement, unlocking upgrades and crafting opportunities. While the game isn't without its flaws, it lacks the depth and replayability of its larger counterparts. It leaves a lasting impression in its quiet moments. More than any specific boss encounter or rare loot, what stays with players is the way Ashen allows its world to breathe, the weighted solitude of each step across a vast, wind-swept expanse. There's a familiar comfort in the sight of an isometric battlefield, grid squares neatly arranged, classes finely tuned, every movement a calculated decision. For players who grew up with Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, Felseal Arbiter's Mark offers that same tactical depth while modernizing its systems. Released in 2019 by indie studio 6 Eyes, this turn-based strategy RPG set out to honor its inspirations while forging its own distinct identity. Players take on the role of Kyrie, an arbiter responsible for maintaining order in a world ruled by immortals. The game's combat follows a classic grid-based, turn-driven format, mirroring the elegance of Final Fantasy Tactics while introducing refinements. Terrain height, status effects, and careful positioning all play a crucial role in battles. With a flexible class system featuring over 30 jobs, including hidden and story-exclusive ones, alongside 200-plus abilities, Felseal offers a staggering range of strategic possibilities. Narratively, the game embraces familiar fantasy themes, weaving political intrigue, corruption, and rebellion into its storyline. While the characters add emotional weight to the experience, its plot doesn't stray far from well-known genre conventions. Notwithstanding its advantages, deep mechanics, engaging tactical combat, and an undeniable charm, it remains something of a hidden gem, praised by dedicated fans, yet never quite breaking into the mainstream. Before Doom, 2016, reignited mainstream love for fast-paced, no-frills first-person shooters, Hard Reset Redux attempted to pave the way. Released in 2016 as an enhanced edition of 2011's Hard Reset, this title from Polish studio Flying Wild Hog was a love letter to classic shooters, offering pure, twitch-based gunplay with no cover mechanics, no regenerating health, and no open-world distractions. Players step into the role of Major Fletcher, a hardened soldier battling relentless robotic hordes in a neon-drenched cyberpunk setting. Combat unfolds within linear arenas interspersed with brief exploration segments, built around a dual-weapon system. Instead of an expansive arsenal, the game provides two modular weapons, the CLN, conventional firearms, and the NRG, energy-based tech, each of which can be upgraded into various forms, including shotguns, grenade launchers, plasma mortars, and railguns. While this system creates the illusion of growing firepower within a streamlined framework, repetitive enemy encounters limit its impact. Most foes fall into predictable archetypes, either charging melee units or standard ranged attackers, leading to a lack of strategic variety. The game's movement mechanics also feel dated compared to modern shooters. With no sliding, dashing, or mantling, players are restricted to basic jumping and sprinting, making evasive maneuvers against large swarms feel sluggish. All things considered, the game is only worthwhile if you buy it on a lower price. On paper, Immortal Unchained sounds like a dream for fans of challenging combat and dark science fantasy, a third-person shooter that marries the punishing structure of Dark Souls with the gunplay of Remnant from the Ashes. Released in 2018 by Toadman Interactive, a relatively small Swedish studio, the game promised high difficulty, deep lore, and a unique sci-fi universe drenched in mythological overtones. Set in a collapsing multiverse ruled by warring godlike entities, you step into the role of a mysterious prisoner freed during the apocalypse. Their journey takes them through shattered realms as they confront an ancient cosmic threat. While Immortal Unchained stays true to Souls-like principles, challenging encounters, methodical combat, and limited exposition, it distinguishes itself through a heavy emphasis on firearms. Instead of wielding swords and shields, you rely on pistols, assault rifles, sniper rifles, and shotguns, each with upgrade paths, stat requirements, and unique ammo types. The primary shooting mechanics are not fluid. Melee combat exists but remains simplistic, functioning more as an emergency fallback when enemies close in. Boss fights vary in execution. Some feature striking designs, while others rely on frustrating environmental hazards or predictable attack patterns. The game carries an undeniable sense of ambition, yet its execution feels uneven, like a sci-fi novel brimming with potential but hindered by rough edges. Toadman Interactive's bold attempt deserves recognition for its vision, but Immortal Unchained struggles to break free from its own limitations, leaving it a fascinating yet flawed entry in the Souls-like inspired RPG space. Space horror thrives on the silence, the isolation, and the unsettling notion that whatever lingers in the void is far older and far less concerned with humanity than anything on Earth. Moons of Madness, developed by Rock Pocket Games and released in 2019, embraces this eerie atmosphere with deliberate care. A first-person psychological horror set on Mars, it blends hard science fiction with Lovecraftian unease, delivering its strongest moments when it prioritizes tension over action. You take on the role of Shane Newhart, a technician stationed at a secretive Mars base. What begins as routine maintenance quickly spirals into a descent into madness, triggered by cryptic signals and inexplicable horrors. The gameplay revolves around environmental puzzles, restoring power, inputting codes, repairing machinery, and navigating surreal dream sequences. These dreamscapes are among the game's most unsettling aspects. Walls pulse unnaturally, eyes appear in impossible places, and space itself seems to bend and collapse. While it doesn't quite reach Control's level of reality distortion, its strange logic succeeds in disorienting you without relying heavily on frustrating trial-and-error mechanics. Sadly, the game doesn't sustain this mood consistently throughout, leaving parts of the experience feeling uneven. Still, for fans of cosmic horror and introspective science fiction, there's something worth exploring. There's a distinct thrill to games that throws you into unfamiliar worlds with little guidance, trusting them to discover their own way forward. 7 The Days Long Gone, developed by Fool's Theory and published by IMGN.Pro in 2017, is one such title. An isometric open-world stealth RPG that defies convention, blending mechanics from Thief, Deus Ex, and Shadow Tactics into a uniquely dystopian experience. You step into the role of Teriel, a master thief possessed by a demonic entity, exiled to the prison island of Pei with an enigmatic mission to uncover. One of the game's most striking features is its verticality, allowing movement across nearly any surface despite its isometric viewpoint, offering an uncommon sense of freedom in exploration. Missions offer multiple solutions, giving you the choice to sneak through vents, bribe guards, hack terminals, or engage in direct combat, rewarding creativity and adaptability. Considering its ambition, 7 has problems. Clunky controls, frustrating bugs, and a steep difficulty curve can hinder the experience. Yet beneath the rough edges, it remains a passion-driven project, crafted by developers who clearly cared about bringing something fresh to the genre. Even in its imperfections, the game carries a distinct identity, making it a fascinating, albeit niche, adventure worth exploring. Some games create tension through monsters or relentless combat, but The Occupation takes a different approach. Released in 2019 by White Paper Games, it harnesses real-time pressure to fuel its suspense, putting you in the role of an investigative journalist navigating a politically charged mystery in semi-fictional 1980s England. Every decision, distraction, or delay chips away at the time available to uncover the truth. Unlike traditional stealth thrillers, The Occupation unfolds in real time, with events and character schedules progressing whether you present or not. You must carefully manage their limited windows, often 60 minutes, to explore semi-open environments, hack terminals, sneak past security, and piece together critical details for their report. With no checkpoints, no second chances, and no way to pause the clock, every moment carries weight. While its core mechanics deliver a unique experience, technical hiccups sometimes undermine the immersion. Getting stuck on environmental objects or losing crucial time due to glitches can be frustrating, occasionally pulling you out of the experience. Despite these setbacks, the game's ambitious structure, layered narrative, and meaningful consequences set it apart as a bold attempt to push interactive storytelling forward. Released in December 2020, Chronos Before the Ashes serves as a fascinating prequel to Remnant from the Ashes, reimagined from the 2016 VR game Chronos by Gunfire Games. While Remnant earned recognition for its gunplay and cooperative Souls-like elements, Chronos Before the Ashes takes a quieter, more reflective approach as a third-person action RPG centered around its distinctive aging mechanic. Combat unfolds at a slower pace than in most action RPGs, emphasizing precise dodging, parrying, and careful stamina management. The weighty animations add a satisfying impact to each strike, though they can feel somewhat rigid compared to the fluidity of titles like Dark Souls 3 or Sekiro. Weapon selection remains relatively modest, featuring swords, axes, and staves, while its upgrade system lacks the complexity and depth seen in larger-scale RPGs. The game's aging mechanic provides an intriguing progression system, where younger characters benefit from agility and dexterity, while older versions gain wisdom-based abilities. However, its limited stat customization makes character growth feel more predetermined rather than offering true flexibility. Despite these limitations, Chronos Before the Ashes possesses an undeniable charm. Its subdued pacing, ethereal art direction, and thematic exploration of time and sacrifice create a melancholic atmosphere that lingers long after the journey ends, even if some of its mechanics don't always fully connect. There are a couple of extra games worth mentioning. The Cat Lady, developed by Harvester Games and released in 2012, delivers a bleak and emotionally intense point-and-click horror experience. The story follows Susan Ashworth, a middle-aged woman granted immortality by a mysterious entity after a suicide attempt. Her newfound existence comes with a harrowing purpose: eliminating parasites, deeply disturbed individuals hiding in plain sight. Meanwhile, The Precinct, launched on May 13, 2025, is a top-down police sandbox game from Fallen Tree Games. Drawing inspiration from classic Grand Theft Auto titles, it combines nostalgic design with a modern cinematic twist. Set in a neon-soaked 1980s city, you take on the role of a rookie officer tackling procedurally generated crimes, engaging in both foot and vehicle chases, and navigating a reactive open world. If you've played The Precinct, feel free to share your thoughts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you soon.